This video is for anybody who's thinking about taking a body off a Jeep Wrangler. This is a 1998 Wrangler TJ, 4-liter inline 6, 5-speed. I had to take it apart to this extent because of extensive frame rot. My control arms actually broke off. But anyway, here's how I got the tub off. I'm just gonna kind of use my hand to help reference things I did. Starting at the front of the vehicle, on the driver's side, there's some vacuum lines on the manifold, intake manifold. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3 brake lines that go to the brake booster. The brake booster is going to go up with the tub. Steering linkage, you take apart right here at the pinch bolt. But prior to doing that, loosen up these 2 bolts that hold this bracket. You're going to need that leeway and that give. Moving along. The very first thing I did though was take the radiator out. First thing I did was unbolt the fan here. That gave me some room to work with. And then I took out the shroud and radiator. 3 bolts on each side of the radiator. Obviously you're going to want to drain your radiator prior to removing it. And then you're going to want to remove all your tubes, radiator hoses, whatnot. So you take your air conditioning pump off, so you don't have to evacuate the system. So I found that if I took the pump off right here, these 4 bolts, and also there's tubes that come from this air compressor. They go to another radiator in front of the radiator. That's going to come out and stay with the tub. So the radiator that's in front of the main radiator is coming out with the tub. This pump's coming out with the tub. And then the rest of the tubing that goes through the firewall. Going to have some electrical connections, a whole bunch over here. Be gentle with them. You don't want to break those tabs. Most of them are the push type. You just put basic pressure on that one point and pull. It's pretty simple. Don't jam screwdrivers in there and break stuff. This comes from the firewall. It's for the heater core. So in terms of things that you're going to have to pull through the firewall, just one, your accelerator cable. This is the only thing that you're going to be pulling through your firewall. Alright? This fitting right here is on the top of the accelerator pedal. You access that from inside the vehicle, obviously. Unclip it from there, and then you push these 2 tabs in, and then push it out, or pull it out. But either way, to get through the firewall, these tabs are going to have to be, pinched together. Your clutch, unbolt your clutch from the transmission itself. There's 2 bolts here. That whole assembly, that clutch assembly, is going to lift off and stay with the tub. We're going to go around back on the other side. So now we're at about the middle section of the vehicle. One thing you don't want to forget is there's a main grounding cable that is on the back of the firewall. It's behind the valve cover. That's going to have to be removed as well. So the 4-wheel drive shifter, this is like a pivot point right here. You're going to have to take 4 bolts out. You access them from inside the vehicle. Just pull back the carpet. You're going to have to take the shift knob off, you're going to damage your factory shift knob because you got to jam a flathead screwdriver into the knob to pull the drive symbols out. And then there's a 15mm bolt that holds that on. Also for linkage, four-wheel drive linkage, this sits directly below your shifter. I just stick a screwdriver in and twisted it really quick and it'll pop right out. Okay, you're going to have to deal with your parking brake. If you got a good parking brake, you're going to have to remove it from inside the vehicle at about, right here level. And that cable is going to have to be pulled through the floor. And there's also another mounting point for that cable that you're going to have to take the cables off. It's a bracket that's sits right about here. Like right above the rear drive shaft. There's a bracket where the one cable from your pull handle branches off into its two individual cables, which I cut. Here's my brake cable for my parking brake. I just cut them right here because I have some major issues with my brake cables too. You don't have to touch the fuel tank at all. There is absolutely nothing fuel tank related, with exception of these 4 bolts at the filler neck, which are Phillips heads. You don't have to touch the fuel tank. You don't have to disconnect anything to get the body off. I promise. As we go to the back of the vehicle, I'm going to point out the body mount bolt locations. They're 5/8 inch bolts. We've got number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and number 11 is right underneath the radiator. Right there. That is it. That's what gets this off the tub. That's what the tub, it separates. I used a 2-ton engine hoist that I got from Tractor Supply. It's currently folded up in the corner right there. And I used a chain which I bolted to the floor, utilizing the bolts for the seats. So I removed the seats and I bolted a chain to the floor, and that was my lift point. Also, I used a safety strap around the whole exterior of the vehicle too. And I lifted from inside the vehicle. I brought the arm through the door, and that's where I lifted it from, just above the transmission. You want to keep your lift point as low as possible. Alright, it's a little pointer for you guys. If you guys can reference it and make something a little bit easier on you, have fun with it. Take it easy.